to run in. And Riley still made that a very, very close game. Game number 2, we saw minor rocket control, and game number 1, we saw that drill deck get completely countered with the Goblinstein. Riley had all the answers he needed, and looking like Pedro might go that direction here. I mean, that's really been the only place we've seen Berserker, and then, of course, on the other side of it, looking like we're going to see some GY.
So, once again, this Berserker drill deck is just taking the cake for the most popular deck so far. Pedro did see a lot of success versus Muhammad Light with it, so it makes sense that he'd run it back versus Yoru. Yoru with the Graveyard Poison, we'll have to see if it's the Baby Drag or the Tornado version. Seems like the Tornado version is a little bit more popular in the current situation here in the CRL Warmup, but I would honestly... Okay, there it is. There's the Tornado.
Yep, and that Tornado was really nicely used. Wasted ability there. So now we see down just a bit of Elixir is Pedro. Technically, if you look at what's already on the board, that is not what you want to do with your Knight.
Yeah, Knight going to walk behind the Witch here, not tanking, and that's going to allow Pedro to immediately go in for the Goblin Drill, just taking advantage of that mistake and, right away. And I like the Barbarian Barrel, though. Barbarian Barrel is a great card versus the Goblin Drill. You can full counter it, and it also does a good job of cleaning up the Goblin Drill after a Evo Snowball comes through.
So, Juicy, if this is the exact same as what we've seen, we have guards, we have arrows, we have Snowball, we have Bomber, we have Berserker. How does this stack up against Graveyard? It seems like there's a lot of answers in there. The only, I guess, good thing that I can think of right off the bat is not having a great big spell to deal with the Witch. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was just going to say. I think that Yoru will 100% win this game if he can protect his Evo Witch, because, I mean, what is Pedro going to do versus it? It's going to stay full health. It's going to heal from the skeletons of the Graveyard, her own skeletons, and even the Tombstone. He's got the poison for the Gobstein. Gobstein's like maybe the only option to try and take it out, but if we see tornadoes like that, if we see poisons like we've just seen as well, his Evo Witch is going to be a menace to deal with, and you can already see its value.
Yeah, that's, you know, I was just thinking the same thing about, like, how do you actually take out the Witch? And what's fascinating is, you know, obviously she's worked up at the bridge right now, so it's not the same conversation, but every single time the Gobstein is played in the same lane, you're going to see the poison come out on top of the Doctor, and then the monster, even if the ability does go off somehow, the monster and the electricity is just going to kill the skeletons to keep the Evo Witch alive. So a pretty tough counter, it feels like, straight up, and there it is, exactly the thing we're talking about. Evo Witch in the back, skeletons are there. If they die, gonna heal the Witch, poison on top of the Doctor, and then, yeah, I like this from Pedro. Now that poison he can see is coming out high every time, now he can maybe play the Goblin Hut behind and use that to help against his, you know, the skeletons piling up, but I still think it's pretty tough.
Really nice Tornado there, taking out the Evo Bomber, keeping the Evo Witch alive. We do see a miss poison onto the Gobstein, but like you talked about, as the Skellies die, the Witch stays alive at full HP. If you didn't miss that poison, this Witch could have gotten damage on the tower, but the Gobstein scientists will clean up now, and Pedro making the correct decision here to try to do something in the other lane, because going same lane here is just not going to work out.
Yeah, it's pretty insane to see that interaction between the Evo Witch and the Gobstein and how much it counters it. Nice damage there for Pedro, now pretty much evening up the damage that he has done on Yoru's tower. 2271 and 2148. And sorry, Juicy, yeah, that Witch on the left-hand side, huge, my gosh, huge breakthrough there for Yoru.
Wow, yeah, the Witch on tower is brutal, and Pedro has one last chance before another Graveyard Poison comes through, but the Evil Bomber gets taken out, and I think that was really the final nail in the coffin here as the Graveyard, the poison drops, and Yoru's already looking at his other screen, preparing for what his next deck could be for the second game of this best of 3.
Man, the matchup conversation, Juicy, has been really, really intense today. Be healed up, she's going to clean up and create a counter push. So really interesting to see these matchups unfold as the weekend goes on. And we've still got a handful of matches left for you guys today, and we still have all of our best of 5s. Really, really exciting stuff. Here we go. Pedro coming out with the recruits. Ooh. Something that we saw only a few times yesterday.
Yeah, recruits on the board. Yoru does have the Bomber for that, and he's got a drill deck of his own now. Roll Hogs coming in from Pedro. Fireball immediately for Yoru. once again, huge shout out to Yoru's coach. I mean, I think his name is Sanchez. I was researching a little bit on Twitter, but yeah, I mean, Sanchez doing a great job so far. I mean, bomber for the recruits, for the piggies. He got the fireball here, and as long as he plays well, I think he's going to have a great path to victory here.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I was actually really curious about who his coach was and if you knew, but I didn't want to put you on the spot, especially because he's like a newer name out there. But yeah, I mean, what a... The decksmanship, first time I'm saying it in 2025, but it has been exceptional for Yoru so far, giving looks of the really popular drill deck that we've seen so far today, but then with obviously some changes in there. We see the Mighty Miner in there instead of the Goblinstein. We see the Fireball in there instead of just the arrows, or excuse me, instead of the arrows and Snowball. We're seeing Fireball, Snowball, and Logs. So triple spell, guards, and bomber. A lot of great answers here to deal with those piggies.
The Logs in at the same time as the drill drops down. Tesla on defense instead of the Fireball, and a cage here is interesting to defend against the drill. It's actually going to work out a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah, and if I'm Pedro, I'm starting to maybe think about, okay, my opponent has a ton of single target DPS. How can I make my recruits and a dual lane push become a threat? And maybe that's exactly what he's doing right now. Question is, you know, how is he going to deal with the bomber? You know, how's he going to get to the other side of the board to help clean up his opponent's defensive units?
I think that the big one is honestly going to be the Golden Knight. I think that, you know, the Fireball is going to drop on the Flying Machine. He's got the Tesla and the Bomber for the Royal Hogs. I think if he's going to break through, he's going to need to make that dual lane pressure, like you said. He's going to need to get that Golden Knight dash to make way through maybe some guards towards the tower to get some significant damage.
And that happened yesterday. You were talking about it. You were like, I really think the only way to break through and win this game is if there is a Golden Knight connection, which, as we all know, can happen in the final seconds of that last bit of overtime. So it's never over till it's over when you are playing with Golden Knight, just because of how much damage it can do. And I think you're totally right, man. He just needs to figure out a way to get that connection to happen. And again, figure out a way to kind of control that bomber. And I was going to say, it's going to be pretty tough to abuse anything other than like the recruits, because he's got so much spell power to clean up everything else, like the Flying Machine and the Zappies and the Piggies.
Flying Machine over there sniping on the Tesla here. Golden Knight not going to be able to make a dash, and the Fireball drops down, hits the Flying Machine, the recruits, the Golden Knight, everything, and the Tesla is back in cycle for the next round of the Royal Hogs. Pedro just trying to do anything on either side of the map just to get any sort of semblance of damage, but I mean, one Royal Hog hit's just not going to do it. Yeah, I mean, this is just a tough spot for Pedro, and honestly, since I really kind of despise these Royal Recruit spam decks, you know, it's kind of a nice thing to see, because they can be so frustrating to play against, but also if you kind of play smart and slow and just really worry about only defending once you get a small damage lead. And yeah, that was really, really nice. That Evo Snowball doing so much. These Teslas are literally always on the board, and when they're not on the board, it's because it just died, and then a second one is coming out right now. So really great stuff with Yoru and his cycle. Great matchup from Yoru, but I must say this gameplay is really fun to watch as well. I mean, the Tesla Evo in the middle into the Evo Snowball, the log, everything after that, just absolutely annihilating everything in Pedro's deck. I mean, this is just a clinic right now. What is happening, man? We just saw the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 players all in the world essentially get eliminated. Wow. Like almost by a rookie. Back to back. Yeah, by rookies. By rookies, by Tourist and Yoru. Yoru celebrating here. He takes the 2-0 sweep versus Pedro. Wow.